Hey, what's up, everybody? I am going to show you something that was honestly a bit of a headache to figure out, but I'm glad to say I've done it. So basically automating the uploading of files to Google Drive with Python. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do, I'm going to minus out this Python project right now and all this other stuff. So the first thing that you got to do is just go ahead and search Google Drive Python in Google, or DuckDuckGo is what I'm using. And you want to find this Python quick start for the Google Drive API. Now, I have to warn you, you're going to have a Google account, a Gmail account, and if you don't, you're just not going to be able to do this. It's just required to use these APIs. You have to get credentials and all that stuff. So you're going to go to this page, and then you're going to you have to be logged in, okay? And if not, it'll probably log you in if you try to click this. So if you don't have a Google account, stop right here, go get one. So the first thing you got to do is enable the Drive API. When you do that, it's going to ask you for a project name. We'll just call this temp. Let's click next. We're going to enable the Drive API, which luckily we don't have to go anywhere. It's just going to load it up for us right here and allow us to configure it. I'm going to use desktop app since that's what I'm using. Okay, and then we're going to download our client configuration, which contains these two things, the client ID and the client secret. I'll delete this project when we're done, so my ID and secret aren't out there. You want to keep those kind of to yourself. So you're going to download that. It's going to be called credentials.json. Okay, and really you're pretty much set after that, except for one more thing we'll get to later. So first thing we're going to do is create a new folder. I'm just going to call it temp. And in here, we're going to go ahead and open it with VS Code. We're going to take that download that we got, that credentials.json, and we're going to drop it in here. Okay, so now we want to go ahead and create our Python file. We'll just call it temp.py to keep up with the time, the flow of what we're doing here. And then what we got to do is we have to install a Python library. I'm not going to walk you through how to get Python, how to install Python, how to install libraries, all that. But you're going to need a Python library called PyDrive. I tried to do this just through Google's instructions, and their code is just really confusing compared to just using this Python library. So what we're going to do is open up our terminal. I'm going to go ahead and create a new conda environment. Conda create name temp Python equals, let's say 3.8. I should have done all this earlier, but I just want you to see the process here, okay? So I'm creating a new environment in Conda for this Python stuff. I'm going to hit yes to install all of that. And you could also just do this if you have Python installed, just use pip. You should by default with Python have pip already. But anyways, so now I'm going to do conda activate temp, and we're going to go back to the Google page that we were on. We need to copy this code. This is the pip install for all the Google libraries that we're going to need. Okay, let's just paste that in and hit enter. It's going to go ahead and install those packages for us that we need for this to work. Next thing we need to do is pip install, what was it called? PyDrive. Now we have all of the packages that we need to get this going. I'm going to go ahead and grab my code from my other project because I don't feel like typing it all out. Let's see, copy that and paste it in, and I'll just kind of walk you through the code, okay? So we're using PyDrive, and we're importing Google Auth, and we're importing Google Drive. I created a function called upload file, and the first variable we have here is the Google Auth variable. It just initializes the Google Auth method inside of the PyDrive auth. And then what it happens is the first time you run this, it's going to ask you to, it's going to open up your browser, right? Because if Google gauth credentials is none, we're going to try to load the credentials. And then if we don't have a mycreds.txt, it's going to open your local web server. So it's just going to open up your browser, and you're going to have to choose to authenticate with your Google account. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. So I'll go ahead and run the program. I'll just say, let me just erase this. I'm going to do python temp.py. Oop, that's right. I got to rename the file to client_secrets.json. So let's do that. I guess that's how this PyDrive library is configured. So we have to make sure we match it up. Client_secrets.json. Okay. So let's save that, and we'll go back and we'll try to run our Python file again. Now it's going to open up our browser, and we're going to authenticate this account, or authenticate this app. Allow. Authentication flow has completed. We can close that out. Oh, I didn't put a file in here to be used, but you can see now that it created a mycreds.txt. After we got logged in, it ran the authorization, and then it went ahead and saved a credentials file for us, so we don't have to keep on clicking allow on our browser every time we want to do that. Okay, so let me go back to my other let's see, mock data. I'm going to move this CSV file over here so I can just do a mock upload. I'm just going to rename this to what I had, CSV file.csv. That's just some data, random data I downloaded. And let's try this one more time. I don't know if because the program broke, since it didn't find that file, if it's going to have me authenticate again. I don't think so, because it went ahead and already created mycreds.txt, which stored my credentials in that mycreds.txt file. So it's going to check there for my credentials first. So let's go ahead and run that again. And success. And literally that's it. That's all we had to do to upload a file. And I'll go ahead and go to my Google Drive and show you that we have that file in there, CSV file at 929. And you see it's here, CSV file. So we're good to go. I'm gonna show you real quick. This is what the Google code looks like, just to sort of run a quick test. And there's so much more code for authentication. It's really, really more, it's a lot more complicated, and I didn't feel like learning everything the Google way. So I found this PyDrive library, and it is so much easier. You can see here how much shorter the code is. because they already built these functions and methods and classes and all that, so you can easily get logged into Google and use Google Drive with your credentials. So if you were to upload your file, this is where your file name goes. You can name it whatever you want. You don't have to have a dot extension at the end of the name or the title of it. However, when you have the set content file, that's the file that it's using to set the content of that file. So I am setting it to the content of my CSV file. So this has to match. And if your CSV file is somewhere else on your computer, I'll just call a TMP folder here. If I were to put that in there, move it, I would then have to give it the path. I'm going to give it the relative path to that CSV file, right? So that you actually have to set the path here. It can be an absolute or a relative path. And then I like to convert my uploads. So this is a, in the upload method, you can set convert to true, and it'll convert it to like a Google spreadsheet instead of a, a regular CSV file or an Excel file. So I like to have my converted files converted. Now I'm gonna try to make a video that allows me to, that teaches you how to manipulate your spreadsheets from this context, from your, running a Python program on your computer and getting in your drive, modifying files, moving things around. Because the usefulness of this doesn't end at just being able to automate uploading files to Google Drive. You want to be able to do something more. So I want to be able to show you what else you can do. But for now, this is it. It's very, very simple to get set up, and uploading files, automating file uploads to Google. If I wanted to, let's say, every time I downloaded a CSV with a certain file name, I could just write another method called, check DL folder. Can't spell. And then like use OS, import OS and import shell utilities, and then use that to sort of navigate my file system, check for files. If a downloaded file like with a certain name exists, then go ahead and grab it and upload it. So we could do a lot more with this. I just wanted to kind of show it off a little bit, how easy it is to do, and I hope it helps you out. Have a great night.